Hello to all my BT WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to the first Takedown Trip review of 2025.
Whoop.
And what a way to come back with TNA, as we will be covering the Go Home show before Genesis, which is this Sunday. I cannot wait. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me for Takedown, my right hand man, the homie. Love him so much. Computer, don't do this to me. We talked about this.
I wasn't sure if it was me or you. I'm like, oh God.
Yes.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back.
I have missed you. We missed you this week. And me and Macho missed you on NXT this week.
Yeah, I know. I was so sad.
Speaking of NXT, we're going to talk about them before we get into our Genesis predictions at the end, because, there might be some NXT presence at Genesis this Sunday. So a certain somebody hears about Mike and double craziness happening. We'll talk all about that later. But we are here to cover the Thursday, January 16th episode of TNA. So again, we are covering the Go Home show before the Genesis this Sunday. But before we get into all that, a little bit of housekeeping, if you will. If you like what you see on the screen, and you want us to see more things that we do outside of lovely faces reviewing wrestling, you can follow us all over the social medias. We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram, we have a TikTok for now. We have Patreon, we have merchandise. You can subscribe and hit the bell notification on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, and come hang out, come say hi. It is a great time. Threads is on and popping. We're also on Blue Sky as well. So we're trying to cover all our bases here at this crazy time that is 2025. And with all that said and done, let's just get into it. So again, we are covering the Thursday, January 16th episode of TNA, which, me, through messages and a little bit before we went on air, I have to say this. Normally, if anybody has seen our reviews here, the Go Home shows for TNA before pay-per-views are always hit and miss. This one was pretty solid. This one was a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
And so I cannot wait to dissect it. There was a lot of fun promos happening here that I cannot wait to talk about. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into everything. So we are going to begin with what started off TNA for us this week, which was this banger of a match. Shout out to the social medias for having these graphics available for us. But thank you, TNA. I appreciate you. We opened up TNA this week with a singles match. This is one of my personal favorites, Leon Slater taking on, of course, Daddy Prince 7 of Mustache Mountain in here. I really enjoyed this match. I thought this was really great. Of course, Trent is now in his heel persona, which is a lot of fun to watch. But man, there's just something about Leon that I love so much, from his charisma to his athleticism.
Yep.
It is definitely a really fun one. But probably, of course, my favorite spot of this whole match is when Leon went up the entrance ramp, got a running start to hop over the barricade onto Trent perfectly. I'm just like, this kid is out of control. This match was awesome. Leon Slater does pick up the victory here. So, Papa, also, what did you think of our opening bout?
I thought that this was, I really, really, really liked this match. I thought it was really good. And, Leon Slater, he is so much fun to watch. He's so, like you were saying, his charisma is so, like, he got in the ring and I was immediately on his side. And of course, I love me some Trent Seven. He's one of my favorites. And I know he's going through his heel phase, Leon, that sort of gentlemanly, and I really appreciated that. But this was a great match. And I thought, okay, if the rest of them, we're in a good place.
This was definitely smart on TNA's part to open up with this match, because it definitely, for me as the watcher and the crowd, it got the crowd off hot. And Leon Slater's finisher, that Swanton 450 splash, is a thing of beauty. I'm like, he does a senton and does.
And took it. Yeah, I know. And took out Trent Seven. I was like, yeah.
It was crazy. And then, of course, Frankie's playing it off, trying to give him his prods. What I appreciate so far in this story and this feud that we've got between Leon Slater and Frankie Kazarian is they're not making Leon Slater, who is face in this feud, he's not oblivious and he's not dumb, which I appreciate, because my biggest problem is when they make the baby faces gullible and the baby face is dumb. I'm like, what you mean? Of course the bad guys are going to attack you. So I love that Leon is playing it smart. It's like, I might be the face, but you ain't trying to beat me up. You ain't gonna get this. I know your game.
And and that's really funny that you mentioned that, because it's like, who doesn't know Frankie K's bullshit? I mean, honestly, he announces it loud and proud every freaking episode. So it's like, if somebody walks in that ring and doesn't know that he's like shenanigans central, then they've been living under a rock. I mean, seriously, because it's like, I mean, it was so funny because it was almost like Leon sensed him behind him. like it's sort of like, hey, yeah, thanks, Trent. What do you think you're doing? It's like, I know what you're up to. You like that a lot. I like that they're not playing Leon as the gullible idiot, like, the new kid that's green behind the gills and doesn't know the lay of the land yet. And I really liked that. Even Frankie was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." That was exciting.
I can't believe I'm actually saying this. I'm looking forward to seeing Leon and Frankie throw on the countdown for Genesis. So
I know.
we'll talk more about our predictions of what we want for that when we get into our predictions for Genesis. But we move on because after this match, we get a video package, which is a career retrospective for Joe Hendry. And it culminates at, the story so far from his younger days to the independents to getting here to TNA to getting a shot at Bound for Glory, losing, winning that fatal 4-way #1 contenders match at Final Resolution. And now he gets to be back here again. And by the end of this, I had a pause. I looked at my television screen and I was talking to TNA in the ether. I'm like, if you don't make this man champion on Sunday, I don't know what we're doing.
I'm there. So I'm going to burn it down. It's like,
here on the 10 o'clock news,
you'll see me being carried away in cuffs. I'll be like, God, motherfucker, he should have won. They cheated him out.
I have to call Andrew. Andrew, I need you to come on the show for like a week.
I don't think Will won't be back for like 20 years or so. So 10 to 20.
It's like he's currently 15 to life. But we get you to review the show via your prison phone.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, a big fan of Joe Hendry. But we as Joe Hendry fans have been up and down. I am hoping and I am praying that at Genesis he finally gets a shot with the title, but I don't know, man.
Which we'll talk about, because I've got some things to talk about the ending of this episode. I've got some words.
Yes, we will get there. But before we get there, guys, we have been invited to the pre-launch event of the season because the next segment is our pre-launch celebration by Elegance. So this sees our personal concierge, George Iceman, introducing and welcoming Ash and Heather by Elegance in for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team pre-launch party ahead of their title match / win against, our current champs of Spitfire. So Mr. Concierge presents Ash and Heather with cardboard cutouts of them holding the tag titles around their waist. And then, of course, Spitfire tosses them out of the ring before destroying the cardboard cutouts. I'm like, hey, that will sell money. Don't destroy it.
All right.
As silly as the story has been building up this feud, I kind of like that Spitfire has to be faced with, the pretty girls, because let's be real. When Ash first, had her vignettes that she was coming to TNA, of course, she leaned in heavily to the model aspect of it. But we have seen since being here in TNA, homegirl can wrestle. She can throw down in like the hardcore matches. She had that fight with Jordan Grace with, kendo sticks and weapons and stuff like that. Yep. A Weapons by Elegance match, which was hilariously fun. Yep. This is one of the matches that it's happening on Sunday where I'm torn because can both teams win? Like, I love Spitfire, but I would love to see what a Ash and Heather by Elegance tag team title run would look like.
Oh, I know, right?
This segment, man. Papa also as Ash by Elegance's #1 fan. I mean, you have a signed picture of her.
I do indeed. This was so fun. It's again, when it comes to the Elegance brand, it's super cheesy and it's just fun. And then I knew, and we all knew that Spitfire was going to come out because, duh. Yeah, it was just like, I thought that it went down exactly as I thought it was going to go. And I would love an Elegance title run. I would love it. And but I'm torn. I just don't know that it's time yet, but I want it though. I really do. It's like I really do want it. So I guess we'll see. We'll talk more about it when we do our predictions. But I really liked it. I just love Ash and now Heather with her. But Ash is she's my girl. I love her, and yeah, she's not just a pretty face. She will mess up your face. So yeah. And I love that about her. I love that she's not just flash; she's actually substance. That's what.
No, and I remember us having this conversation when she was about to come in TNA. Is that a lot of people were complaining about the character choice, but thanks to what we saw on screen and plus our little interview with Ash by Elegance, which shout out by Ash, you are like. Honestly, you were one of the interviews that catapulted us from just being random people on the internet who love wrestling to actually doing this. So you have my love and support. I don't care what nobody says, but I 100% agree with you. This is cheesy, but it's the best kind of cheesy. And I feel like wrestling needs that. Wrestling needs that balance. And Ash and Heather are doing it right now. And I love this feud that we're getting with them and Spitfire. And I'm excited to talk about our predictions and to see their match this Sunday.
Yep.
Cannot wait. So from here, backstage, Gia Miller is interviewing PCO and Sami Callihan. Gia Miller reiterates to the audience that if PCO and Sami Callihan can beat the Hardys, they will be entered into the Tag Team Championship match, which would then become a triple threat. Spoiler alert, main event happens. It does not go the way that we think it does. So, but Sami Callihan being Sami Callihan, and I got a chuckle out of PCO saying that Gia Miller did a good job in the interview.
That was funny. That was,
I was
so funny.
Yeah.
I just love it that Sami Callihan translates for PCO.
Oh, I love this
cracks me up
so much. I love this team so much now.
I do too. So fun.
We will be seeing PCO and Sami Callihan later in our main event. But we move on to our second match of the evening, which was a tag team match that saw our boys, Eric Young and Steve Lockjaw Macklin, taking on everybody's favorite here on AJ Francis and Casey Navarro of First Class. Will's favorite person is AJ Francis.
No, I won't lie to you. I fast forward through this. I like 10-second skips. I just went because I do not like AJ Francis. I do not like him. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. Now, his partner is okay. Is it Javon Evans? Is that what it is?
No, you're getting Javon.
Yeah, I'm getting I'm getting all my.
This is Casey Navarro.
Thank you, Casey Navarro. That's it. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I know I'm jumping from one platform to another, but I was like skip, and I'd watch Eric do something to somebody, and then AJ Francis, and I'd go skip, and I just poor Casey Navarro is the one that took the pin.
That was the crazy part, and we talked about this on previous iterations. I kind of get sad because I don't like that Casey takes a lot of the pins in the tag team matches when First Class is involved, which to a certain point I get, but I want to see Casey start to have some momentum and for him to actually, get some wins and things like that. But I think right now he's just in the tag team partnership role, and eventually we'll probably give him a singles push. I want to see a singles push for Casey in 2025. That's one of my goals. I want Casey, and I want to see Leon Slater win that X Division Championship in 2025. Those are my two things that we're going to start 2025 of. I'm going to keep track of a list.
Right. My big thing is I just want to see these younger wrestlers. Yeah, like you said, I want to see them have some momentum as opposed to just okay, we're going to throw you out there and let you get defeated every single time. It's like, give them something, because I'm sorry, if it were me and I was in this company and every single fight I was in, I lost, I would be like, why am I here? Give me a win. I don't, even if it's not me making the pin, give me something, and I hate that. And we see, and it's not just here. We've seen it before, that they just can't, the young ones just keep losing. And it's like, just because, Macklin's been around for 100 years doesn't mean that the new guy couldn't come in and whoop his butt.
No, I 100% agree with you. And I'm hoping that 2025 allows our younger stars of TNA to kind of get some momentum behind them. And
Yeah.
when we talk about the news that broke the day of this episode airing too about a certain partnership, I'm hoping that we can see the younger stars of the company that they have this partnership with, which we'll talk about that and dreams and hopes. And I already have like dream matches I want to see, so we'll talk about that later. But it is Eric Young with the flying elbow drop on Casey Navarro, which allows Eric Young and Steve Macklin to pick up the win here, which gives these two the momentum heading into their match at TNA Genesis, which got announced during the episode. So we got another match, which we'll talk about during predictions. So we move on to probably one of my favorite segments. Look,
This was funny. This was great.
I am here for like the camp of it all, and this is camp, but like in the best way possible. So next up, we have the Masha Slamovich and Rosemary confessional, where these two have a final face-off before their Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, which is just essentially a cage match with weapons. So Will gets to see a cage match in person, so that's gonna be fun for him. And it involves our girls. We love Rosemary
I
and
know.
Masha in this
I'm so
house.
excited.
I cannot wait. So Rosemary surprising me here, and I love how they intersperse like the previous iterations of Rosemary since she joined TNA all those years ago. And I forgot how long it's been, but Rosemary says she's been waiting for 7 years to get that TNA Knockouts Championship back. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. The last time Rosemary held that title was 7 years ago. That's crazy. And you know,
Wow.
she wants to regain it back. Masha says that the only person that stopped Rosemary from being champion was herself. And Rosemary then tells Masha that she's going to take her apart piece by piece. Masha then tells Rosemary that during this match, she's either going to touch the sky or Masha's going to drag her to hell with her. And I'm just like, I loved how this was shot. I love how we intersperse all the things that they have done, the previous iterations of Rosemary, when Masha was a heel and the people she destroyed along the way. And now in this cage match, like we are just going to go balls to the wall. And I am hoping that Masha and Rosemary, I want this match at Genesis to tear the house down because I want these women to destroy each other. But this segment alone was so camp and I loved it. Papa, also, what did you think of the confessional of Masha and Rosemary?
I thought it was hilarious because I was just like, what is happening? And I was like, oh, wait, that's Masha too. I was like, oh, they're in a confession. Oh, this is cool. Right? You know, she's going to pull out God knows what out of a bag. I mean, she's going to mess up somebody's world. And I love just how, dare I say, butch Masha is. And she's just like, I'm here. I'm going to literally, I loved when she's like, either going to touch the sky or I'm going to drag you to hell. And I was like, oh my God, I love this so much. I love this so
Hasn't
much.
been confirmed yet, but Masha's definitely giving that energy.
I'm like, take it, girl. Get it.
Like,
Get
step on me. What? No.
Go ahead and step on me, spit on me. I mean,
No, I'm super excited. I thought this was a fun segment. I'm really excited for this match at Genesis. And so this kind of ties up all the builds up for that match, just like our next segment ties up another match leading into Genesis. So after we get the confessional of Masha Slamovich and Rosemary, the Northern Armory with Josh Alexander, the Northern Armory, they come out into the ring. I love that the crowd immediately, chants that you are bald, Josh Alexander. I'm like, guys, you're right, but I got a kick out of it. But before this, we get a little bit of some video that shows because Mike Santana was also at a prestige wrestling event and he got attacked by, Sinner and Saints during the match. And he got caught slipping. So Josh gets on the mic after, I love it. He gets caught after kind of dealing with the crowd, calling him bald. He says that there's no way that Mike Santana is going to be ready for TNA Genesis, as you saw in the video footage. And he got, injured, as I put in air quotes. But of course, Mike Santana was not having it, so the lights cut out and his entrance is made. And he, he's in the crowd and he says, he's about to beat up that bald ass head of Josh Alexander. Before I continue, go ahead.
Can I say one thing? I absolutely love that Mike Santana makes his entrance through the crowd.
He's for the people. That's the third thing on my list. I need this man to be champ by the end of 2025. Give Mike Santana a title run. Like for reals. Give me something. And the funny thing is, if I remember correctly, no, never mind. He came through the entrance ramp. But I love since returning to TNA, this version of Mike Santana I agree with you. Walks through the crowd. He's the people's champion. Like,
oh yeah.
When you talk about the face of the company, I'm probably somebody's going to get mad at me here, but I think Joe Hendry is a really good face of the company too. But I also wouldn't be mad of throwing Mike Santana into that mix. Now, I feel like Joe is the long-standing because he's been here longer, and I think he deserves to get his time to shine. But man, Mike Santana has risen up the ranks for me in terms of like, build the company around those two. Those are going to be your two big faces and your champs in the men's division, especially, with Josh's contract ending up in February. Jordan's about to leave after Genesis. Most people, Mike Bailey has been gone. So we need to start building up more men. And I can't think of anybody else other than Joe and Mike Santana to build this new era around. And, throw Moose in there if you had to pick three. I think those three would be fantastic. But man, Mike Santana coming to the crowd always gets me. I love it so much.
I love that. I do. It's one of my absolute favorite things that he does. Like absolute.
Oh, what I even love too is he gets credit where credit is due because he's like, you know what? I have to admit, I got caught slipping. Y'all, I'm not going to deny that. However, if you think that's going to keep me down, it's going to take a whole freight train to take me out. So Mike Santana challenges Josh Alexander to an I Quit match. And so Josh, accepts it, but says that Santana should have learned a lesson a long time ago that where he was before is where he's going to stay, which is at the bottom of the card. I'm like, damn, Josh. I'm like, we're coming in with some heat here.
Yeah, I know.
But then, of course, Mike Santana, being the amazing person it is, gets the last word. He tells Josh that, Santana tells Josh that they would be forced to see, him face to face and acknowledge him as the new standard of TNA. I'm like, Mike Santana, trademark that, put it on a t-shirt because that is his new catchphrase here at TNA. And I 100% agree. I think Mike Santana should be the new standard for this new era of TNA. Let this man lead the charge. I don't know what these two are going to do to each other on Sunday, but I am so pumped that their singles match is now an I Quit match. I'm so excited too. I really, really am. And I cannot wait. This was, again, Mike Santana always has some of my favorite promos. Anytime he gets on the mic, is always so real, so good. I don't care if I'm biased. Like Mike Santana is that dude.
No, I like when he even talked about taking down the entire system. I thought that was great too.
Which is true. He took out every member of the system, had it not been for shenanigans, because he beat both Sinner and Saint, and he would have taken out Josh. I cannot wait. I am super excited to see where this goes. And now we move on from this to our third match of the evening, where we have a little bit of discourse. So first and foremost, hi, Jake. Yes. But also, Will sent me a message earlier today, and I kind of have to agree with it. What are we doing with Laredo Kid? Why is he always here to lose? Like, what's going on?
That's irritating me. It's starting to irritate me because I was like,
you only bring him in for crazy matches and then he loses?
Yeah. It's like, oh, we need Jake to fight somebody. Oh, who? Oh, hey, what about the Laredo Kid? He's not doing anything because you won't let him do anything. I mean, like, let him be something other than just cannon fodder, which is basically what he's been. I mean, he literally comes in and gets his ass handed to him. And I'm like, he's good. I get Jake. He's this giant ass brick wall, and I get that, but come on, some of the things that that Laredo Kid was doing in that match should have taken Jake out. I'm sorry, but it should have. And I love Jake, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that he won, but I hate that he won over Laredo Kid because Laredo Kid always freaking loses.
It's very true.
Driving me crazy.
It's very true. And, the other thing, too, is because TNA doesn't have a lot of luchadors in its company, too, Laredo Kid is the only one, and he's constantly losing. Now, granted, you and Andrew did have talked about we didn't necessarily like his run as digital media champion when he lost it to Tommy Dreamer. All that time, that feud was really weird. But I want to see something for Laredo Kid. I feel like he's always reliable. They always put him in matches where he needs to be. I never see him or hear him complain on social media about anything.
Nope.
So I want to see more for Laredo Kid, especially if you want. TNA is lacking in luchadors because all the other companies, despite how they treat them, there's a plethora of luchadors. The big old machine of WWE and NXT's got them. AEW's got them. Ring of Honor's got them. TNA had announced that partnership with AAA, and I'm just like, we have yet to see that come to fruition. So hopefully,
yeah, but wasn't that during? But that was
that was also
Scott
during
D'Amore.
Scott.
So I
who
wonder
knows
if
that's happening still.
Yeah, I wonder if after that happened, if that partnership kind of broke apart.
Which would be very sad.
Yeah, because we haven't seen anything with them since that.
No, and that sucks because there's a lot of good wrestlers in AAA and just in Mexico in general. Hey, TNA, I know that AEW is kind of working with CMLL, but if you want to work with them too, I'm just saying.
You should totally. Oh my God. Yes, you should totally.
TNA, CMLL crossover. Let's do it.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
Listen, if we had a TNA, CMLL crossover, Persephone versus
Masha and Persephone.
Persephone is at the top of my dream list. And then Jake would have big people to fight. Because Templario and his
and then you can imagine seeing like Gran Guerrero and even like Hechicero. Can you imagine Hechicero over here?
Oh my goodness, Hechicero versus anybody on.
Oh my God, Hechicero would be like destroying people, and I would be like,
I would love it so much. But this proves our point, TNA. Let's get more luchadors here in TNA.
I know all of that to say.
Yes, all that to say. I'll say though, even though I didn't like Laredo Kid losing, I do have to say I love Jake's something bomb finisher. That thing looks.
Well, I mean, Jake something is just a powerhouse, and I know they were like, oh, he tried to, play the whole tag team all by himself, but I mean, the man is basically two people, three if you count his pecs. I mean, he's like three.
Look at them.
No, the man's huge. And I'm just like, anytime he's in the ring with someone, he just towers over them.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see how far he's come too, going from being like the dumb stooge to Diener when they were a tag team.
The low end barbarian.
Yes, the low end barbarian. To now just being this monster of a powerhouse.
Oh my God.
Hopefully Hammerstone's not going to be out for much longer because I was really excited to see those two run through it, the tag team division.
Me too.
So hopefully we'll get all that. Jake Something again picks up the victory here by hitting the something bomb. We then get into a very lengthy vignette for Mr. Ace Austin, chronicling how quickly life has. This is another one. I'm like, Moose, I love you, but I have to go with my heart on this one. Get the X Division Championship to Ace Austin, man, because we got a chronological order of the last couple months and just, Ace Austin just being, vulnerable with everything, going from the mountain, being in the ABC with Chris Bay, holding those titles, having that match at Bound for Glory at the, there, which was the main event of Bound for Glory, which was crazy. And then Chris getting hurt, and then all that's going on, and now he's back to being a single star, and he doesn't know. I'm like, this is just like, oh, my heart. Like, TNA, why do you do this to me? I felt like I put down the fanaticism. I put down Ace Austin, the character, and I was just listening to the man behind the character. I'm like, God, my heart hurts for him so much. But also very positive because it's not going to keep him or beat him down. I'm just like, give this man the championship this Sunday, damn.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I was like, there's nothing else to say. Like, this is how we.
It was a beautiful, almost tribute, really. And I loved it. And now he needs to win this belt I think that would just be like winning it and dedicating it to him, that sort of thing. Oh my God. I would cry. I would literally in front of all those people.
Yeah, that would be such a moment for Ace to win. Well, and I'm interested too, because, last week Moose said that we're getting a redesign for the X Division Championship. So whatever that's going to look like on Sunday is going to be interesting. So that would be such a funny kicker for Ace to be the first person to hold the new redesign.
That would be funny. That would be hilarious.
So I'm rooting for Ace. We'll talk more about it during predictions. But now we get into our main event of the episode, which is a tag team match. The Hardys versus PCO and Sami Callihan. If PCO and Sammy can beat the Hardys, they will be entered as a third team for the Tag Team Championship match at Genesis. Prior to the match starting, though, once again, for the third week in a row, we got this weird 23 vignette that played before the Hardys entered. And I'm just like, okay, Genesis is about to go down. I'm waiting for 23 to pop up. And now that we have this partnership deal with NXT, I'm like, I'm wondering if 23 has to do with somebody over in NXT. It could be a new signee that's not NXT related. It could be NXT related, but this is how you keep me wanting to come back to find out who this is every single week. It's very simple, but it's fun. I also love that Sammy goes up to the ring announcer and just like plays like, "Did you know about this? Do you know who it is?" And she's like, "I have no clue what's going on right now." Like, so that was that. The Hardys make their entrance, and we do get our match. Spoiler alert, Sammy and PCO do not win. They get hit with, Sammy Callahan gets hit with the twist of fate and a Swanton Bomb combo for the Hardys to pick up the win. So it will remain a 2-on-2 for Genesis for the Tag Team Championship match. I will say though, this match was hella fun for me.
It really was. It was really fun. Of course, I love PCO.
I do too. I love him so much.
Any chance I get to watch him fight, I just love him. It makes me love him more because he's just one to do the things that he does at his age is incredible, and I'm just like, truly the torture he puts himself through and just gets up and walks away is mind blowing.
For reals. It is fantastic. And you know what? I know we've had our hits and misses with the Hardys, but every time I see them on screen now, I'm just like, you know what? They're growing on me. I'm not as critical as them. I was like, they understand that they're older. They understand that they don't have long, which I think is why I kind of like them a little more since they came to TNA, is that they know that they are, the elder statesmen, so to speak. And, prior to their injury, too, they were always making sure to put over ABC and, giving kudos and wanting to fight ABC. And shoot, they're going to fight the Rascals, even though the Rascals aren't like super young, but they're still a younger team. And so I love that the Hardys are champions, but they're not the like veteran champs where they don't want to put anyone else over. Like they want to fight all the young guys and fight everybody until it's time for them to retire. But I'm going to be honest, I want to see a rematch with these four. Like, I actually want the tag titles to be on the line between these four next time. Can you imagine PCO holding 3 belts?
My God, collecting all that hardware.
Seriously. Our French-Canadian Frankenstein champion belt collector. I love it. But this was a fun match. This was great. I loved it. Hardys win, so it is still just Hardys versus Rascals at Genesis.
Yep.
So that was the main event wrestling portion, but now we get into our final segment that actually closed the show. Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry have their face-to-face
issue.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the positive, Joe Hendry. I also will appreciate, even though it kind of convoluted the plot a little bit, I do like that Nick Nemeth finally addressed with the video footage what went down at Bound for Glory. And it was explaining his behavior and his actions over the last couple of weeks, because that was driving me nuts since, that was going down at Bound for Glory back in October. And we felt like we kind of just let it go for a little bit. I was like, okay, I guess not. Well, but no, we addressed it. We love it. So we got this face to face. So those are the positive. Now let's talk about a little bit of the negatives. One, he's doing his job properly, but like, Ryan, I love you. Ryan Nemeth, Nick's brother, I love you. We got to work on the mic skills because it's coming off as cardboard. Honestly, I feel like it's on purpose, and I want to believe it's on purpose, but I'm just like, you're such a... and not in the fun way. That's the character, so it's fine. I also didn't like that the will they, won't they, because Joe's reasoning for being so angry, I understand it to a little bit, but now he's full blown back into babyface mode. And I'm just like, you took him on this weird detour where he was being whiny and he was kind of being a little heelish by getting mad, which was deservedly so. But I feel like we should have had this like right after Bound for Glory. We should not have gone through another pay-per-view at Final Resolution and then have this. I feel like this was long overdue, and I think that's my biggest issue with this face-to-face. I was like, the reasoning and everything is spot on, and I loved it. But I feel like it's in the wrong place of the timeline of when it should have happened.
Yeah. My issues with it are the fact that, so I don't understand, because I mean, Nick is a nice guy. Joe is a nice guy. Why can they not have a nice guy fight? I mean, it's going to be just as crazy, because it's for this champion. I mean, it's for the championship. Oh, let me slap you. I mean, it's going to be a knockdown drag out. But why do they have to? Because I don't understand the build to it. I don't understand. We had that one moment, which feels like 100 years ago, where suddenly Nick thinks Joe did something to his brother, and it's just like, why are we going here? I don't understand why they have to make Joe look like a douchebag going really into this fight. I don't understand it. It's like, why can't they just be who they are and fight for a championship? I mean, they want it to be dirty. And I'm just like, but that's not either of them. That's the thing that's driving me insane. That's not either of them. It's like, neither of these guys are bad dudes. Yeah, they might have some anger issues because what happened, Nick has it because of what happened to his brother. Joe, because, Nick's brother did some bullshit. But I mean, it's like, but they're nice guys. Why do they have to be like angry dudes going into this fight? I just don't get it. And that bugged the crap out of me. Because it's like, I like both of these men. I think both of these wrestlers is because they are nice guys. They are like genuinely good men. They are like, I'm wrestling you, I defeat you, but I'm not going to try to annihilate you. Because that's not what it is. I'm a nice guy. We might have beef with each other, but that's, I just don't understand why. I don't get it. Why is it every time that we have a big bout like this, we have to make the two guys or girls be at each other's throats? I don't get it. It's a formula that needs to go away.
Well, the crazy thing is we not that long ago, we saw what can happen when you just let two wrestlers who are good folks and good friends with each other just wrestle each other. We literally saw that with Jordan and Masha, that title match. They were adamant they were going to tear each other apart, but they respected the hell out of each other. They're friends outside of their characters and things like that. I feel like the way that this story has been handled is very convoluted.
Yep.
There's just certain pieces that we got too late that should have happened earlier. And to me, it doesn't feel like a logical character choice. And again, we're talking about wrestling, so of course you have to suspend your disbelief.
Correct.
But from a characterization standpoint, some of the decisions that Joe and Nick have been making the last couple of weeks don't make a lot of sense for what we've been presented with on television. That's the thing that I think I'm bummed out, because I think the match is going to be good.
Yeah.
It's just that the build has been kind of all over the place for this one.
And I'm just like, I don't understand what this was. Joe gave us this beautiful retrospective of himself from when he was young all the way to where he is now. And, and he talked about how important it is to win this title, because he's like, if I have to come back and be the funny guy, then that's what I'll be. And I was like, he's a nice, why are we trying to make him not a nice guy? I don't understand that. And not even like Amber Alert. And it's not even like we're building him to a heel turn. It's literally he goes from this amazingly wonderful person, suddenly turns into this whiny, dare I say, Frankie Kazarian type character, and then goes back to the Joe Hendry we all love and know.
We have had both Nick and Joe have had some very interesting character moments. Again, I'm excited for the match, but the build-up has kind of been all over the place. But before we continue on, I got a shout out to the homie Robert Brown, representing Lafayette, Indiana, in the house. What's up, Robert? Thank you for joining us this evening. We are reviewing the Go Home show for TNA, which occurred last night. We're talking about the thing that ended the show, which was the Nick Nemeth Joe Hendry like promo face off. They have their title match at Genesis this Sunday. And so we were just at the end of our discussion where we're excited for the match, but the buildup has been kind of all over the place with character choices and motivations, which is very interesting. But this is technically the last segment. But the thing that truly ended the show was that Tessa and Jordan decided to forget their match and they just threw down.
Yeah, I know.
Yo, I was just like, God help those security guards trying to hold back, especially Jordan. I'm like, do you see the muscles on this woman? Like, goodness. We're doing good, Robert. We're doing good this evening. This is our first TNA review of 2025. It's been a couple of weeks, so me and Will are kind of getting all the goosey loosies, if you will, out. We're just being super silly tonight, too. We're having a good time. And thank you for enjoying our good time because we want you to have a good time too, Robert. But yeah, God bless those security guards for trying to stop Tessa and Jordan because those girls fight. I can see that, Robert. I know that Nick/Dolph Ziggler isn't everybody's cup of tea. And, you know, I could see those points. But I am happy to see that he is still getting to be able to wrestle and do the things that he likes as well. So I'm here for it. We're also hoping that Joe Hendry wins this Sunday, but you know, stick around for the next 20 minutes or so, and because we're about to do our predictions. But before we get into all that, again, Tessa and Jordan fight. Jordan is last one standing, which was a lot of fun. That brings us to the end of TNA. But before we get into our predictions for Genesis, we do have a little bit of news and some big news. It was announced on Thursday that TNA and, well, WWE, but specifically the NXT brand, have signed a multi-year partnership where we are going to see the crossovers that we had happen the last couple of months now become a more frequent thing. So literally TNA and NXT's roster can be combined as one. So NXTNA is what we're going to call it for now. So NXTNA, which means, you know, we're going to see lots of TNA talent go to NXT, NXT come on over to TNA, which means because of this crossover, me, Will, and our good friend over the NXT reviews, Macho, I think the three of us are going to be having some cross-pollination a lot this year.
I wonder if this partnership came because TNA is losing so many people.
I would not be surprised. And, you know, WWE is not dumb. They definitely want to sign Jordan, Joe, Josh, you know, when their contracts are up. But also, I think it's a good thing because we saw in the partnership, like, I really love No Quarter Catch Crew versus all three of the Rascals that we had at Slammiversary. So, okay, so let's address this before we continue with the news. So, it is no secret, and we have talked about this in a special podcast episode of Controversial Wrestlers. Tessa and Jordan there is some ill will because last time Tessa was in TNA, she was not the best person and she got, you know, did not treat, you know, the women's locker room very well. Said some really bad things. And so I will just say this. I am a person who believes in second chances. So I'm going to reserve judgment to see how Tessa goes this time around. But I am still looking at TNA with a big old eyebrow raise. I was like, you could have picked anybody and you chose to bring Tessa back? I'm like, I have questions, TNA. But again, I want to be fair in my assessment. But to answer your question, Robert, I would not be surprised if these two girls actually threw down. I would not be surprised. So I will say, though, we will see at Genesis what happens to it. So we'll see what goes down. But, you know, I feel like Jordan is professional enough to be able to do so. Again, I want to see Tessa I'm hoping Tessa has changed, but only time will tell. So we shall see what happens. Yeah. Tessa does need to do some apologizing. So I'm hoping that she, you know, whether it's social media and interviews, like I need her to understand the things that she did and said were not great when we got to get there. But back to the news. I already have a list of dream matches I want to see. Leon Slater versus Javon Evans is one. Like those two flying all over the ring would be crazy. But Will, you might like this dream match. I have Stephanie Verker versus Masha Slam. I'm like, give it to
Wow.
Listen, Jordan versus Stephanie too. Have a triple threat. Like
oh my God.
Like you want to talk about powerhouse for powerhouse.
Yes. Or even Moose versus Obafemi. You know, I mean, talk about one powerful black man and another going at it. You know, these two guys, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, Obafemi is the power at NXT right now. Moose is technically, I mean, he's not the world champion, obviously, but he's like a big personality at TNA.
Power, speed too.
Can you imagine those two? Man, talk about that would be earth shattering.
Oh, listen, all I want from all of this is all the talent to have fun, get to be utilized across both shows. But ultimately, I really do hope we get a TNA NXT Worlds Collide pay-per-view. Like, I want to see that happen this year. I want to see a Worlds Collide pay-per-view.
I can totally see the system trying to infect NXT.
That would be amazing. I'm not gonna lie, that'd be kind of fun. But again, there's so men and women's division in both NXT and TNA, I think would do wonders. And
oh my god, yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I know Andrew has a little bit of trepidation, hopefully that TNA gets to be treated well in this partnership. And I do too, but all three of us are definitely excited. I'm trying to, do all that.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's exciting. It is exciting. I just, and of course TNA as well. And I love all of the possibilities of this.
I'm so excited. So we shall see where this partnership goes. We did get a tease that there will be NXT presence at Genesis this Sunday. So Will's in for a double treat because not only will he get to see TNA stars, he might get to see some NXT stars cross on over to TNA and cross the line, which is super exciting. But Will is excited because now we get into the final thing we're going to discuss this evening, which is our predictions for TNA Genesis. So as that loads up, Will, I am jealous, but super excited for you to get to go to Genesis. This is your first TNA pay-per-view. And well, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this your first pay-per-view ever, right? It's going to see in general?
Well, yeah, because back in my day, we didn't have pay-per-view.
That's true.
We just had, hey, it's coming to Houston. Go see it. I'm like, okay, let's go see it. Yeah, we didn't have the big televised pay-per-view. I mean, back in that day, but no. So this will be my first official pay-per-view event. And I'm super, and real quick, they added, and I'm so excited. So it's gonna probably happen. After the post meet and greet, they added Joe Hendry to it.
So you may have to spend.
So I may have to take myself and my husband. So
you get a picture with Joe. I will forever love you even more. So we can post it on the socials. I'm just kidding.
I'm like,
use you for promo material. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, so Joe, I'm on this wrestling podcast. We would love to talk to you, man.
Oh, that would be so. I would love it so freaking much. But no, I'm super excited for you, Will, because you get to go to Genesis, and then my jealousy will wane because I can't be mad at or jealous of you for too long because I get to go to the next big four pay-per-view, which is Rebellion. And it's so despite it being on fire right now, like I kind of joke, but I send love too, because listen, I love when Mike State and, just the specific region of Southern California, we're all coming together to help out all the people affected with the LA fires, man. So,
but sometimes you have to deal with things like that with humor. So,
yeah. So
Rebellion is going to be fire, man.
For real. Oh, I'm excited because it's in the USC basketball stadium, and I've never been to the USC campus.
Oh,
my
really?
younger brother has.
The USC campus. I love the USC campus.
I've never been to the USC campus, but I'm super excited because not only do I get to go see Rebellion, I get to see the campus, but it's also fun too for me too because I get to take Mama Laguilla to our first TNA show, and it's one of the big four pay-per-views. She went with me to the AEW Collision taping when it came to Palm Springs last year. So now this will be her second event. I'm hoping to make her a fan of Masha Slamovich,
which I think she will. I'm kind of hoping TNA comes to Dallas more often.
Yeah, I'm just excited because TNA rarely comes out to the West. I mean, we had the two pay-per-views in Las Vegas, but they rarely come to California, at least since I've been watching. So
they're also doing something in
San Antonio. I think San Antonio is the Sacrifice pay-per-view in March.
That's what it is. Yeah, Sacrifice.
Yeah, so it's the Sacrifice pay-per-view, and then New York is getting the Slammiversary pay-per-view, which is cool. But let's get into this. So we are going to be going through our predictions for Genesis, and Will gets to be there live. Me and Will have made our picks beforehand, so we are I have the spreadsheet in front of me, so we get to talk
And
about.
now I'm like doubting myself on some of those.
I'm gonna stick with my guns on a lot of these. So, but
Well, I
it's
mean,
gonna
I
be
am
fun.
too. Changing in mind, but I'm just like, some of them
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
be
like,
honest. There's a lot of these matches that can kind of go either or
yeah,
because I'm
that's
like,
fair.
dang, I truly don't know.
All right,
So let's do it. So we're gonna talk about. So as of right now, there's only been one match announced for the countdown show, and it is going to be Frankie Kazarian versus Leon Slater. Just out of sheer spite, I am hoping that Leon Slater wins.
me too.
I
I
picked
went with
Leon
Leon
Slater.
Slater.
Same here. I picked Leon. I think that, and funny enough, this feud is actually kind of working in the favor because it's Frankie is still getting to wrestle, but it's more so pushing Leon to the top of the card and giving him the kudos and
Yep.
all that good stuff. So I love this, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I feel like Frankie's a good person for Leon to feud with. Because
I agree, actually.
yeah, Frankie's character right now is so arrogant, so full of himself. And Leon's like, yo, man, I'm this hot shot, but like, you need to. My
Calm down a
favorite
little,
line
man.
from last week is to tell Frankie Kazarians, I'm no one's young boy. I was just like, because Frankie was trying, offer to teach Leon things, but mostly it was more so having him be an assistant. It's like, nah, man, we're good on that. So I really hope Leon wins here because I think this would also add, and then just give me another match between these two on either TV or at the next pay-per-view. Like, have it be on the official card and let Leon win in a big way against Frankie. Because
Yes.
yeah, I want to see Leon. I have Leon winning this.
Yep, me too.
So again, as of right now, this is the only countdown match. So now we begin with our main card. So these matches are not in the order that they are going to appear, but I kind of categorize them as like regular matches and then work our way up to the championship matches. So we are going to begin with the match stipulation that got added this episode. So the match is Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana in an I Quit match. I love Josh, but to me, the momentum and the person who kind of needs to win this is Mike Santana, and I have picked Mike to win. I think Mike should win this one.
Well, I mean, it would make sense because Josh is leaving.
Yes, his contract's up in February, so yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense for this to be his out.
Pass the torch to Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would, and because I that's what we're doing. I really do because I think here's my thing, and this is what I believe is about to happen. Is I think Mike Santana is going to win this match and take Josh's place as that Josh has been all these years because Mike Santana currently reminds me of Josh in the past, before he started getting harder and harder and harder until he turned. But that idea of, what wrestling is, it's not me, it's the fans, it's it's the people, that I really think that that's what's about to happen. I think I personally believe there are big things planned for Mike Santana.
I agree with you. So both of us have picked Mike Santana. I'm excited to see what they do to each other because anything goes in an I Quit match. So,
yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens. So next up, we have another singles match. This is just a regular one, but I still think it's going to be they're going to beat the tar out of each other. We have Jordan Grace versus Tessa Blanchard.
And this is one of those that I actually believe that Tess is probably going to win this one because again, Jordan's leaving. I said that, so then I was there and I was like, oh, but there's this, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to flip a coin. Heads it's Jordan, tails it's Tess, and Jordan won, so I'm going with Jordan. So win or lose doesn't matter. And I think I personally believe because of the controversy around Tessa Blanchard, I think she has to earn her way back. I really do. I'm kind of hoping that that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Even though I picked Tessa, I would love for that to be the thing that happens because then I feel that couple that with, if she chooses to apologize and address the things that happened last time she was here, then I would be more willing to give Tessa. Well, I mean, I'm giving Tessa a second chance now, but I'd be more open and not as skeptical about this choice for TNA.
And before I knew about any of her past,
I loved her.
I was bummed that she left. I was like, dang. Then I heard she was coming to TNA, and I was like, hell yeah. And then they're all like, ooh, but there's like story behind that. And I was like, oh no, what? And then they told me, and I was like, oh man. So yeah, you need to apologize, Tessa. But if you
Yeah, we
Jordan,
need
I'm
to make
okay with it.
like the first step of any recovering person, whether it be alcoholic, gambler,
Yes.
whatever. The first step is always making amends.
Yep.
There's always a making amends
Yep.
step. So
So
I'm excited for this match though. I think these two are gonna bring it. We've seen Tessa wrestle. She's
Yep.
great. Jordan's fantastic.
oh
So
yeah. And they're two different. They're two different styles, but almost identical.
yes, so I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
So we move on. So the newest match that got added as of this episode of TNA was Eric Young and Steve Macklin versus the System. We both picked Steve Macklin and Eric
Yeah.
Young. Moving on.
Like, seriously, it's like no way the System is going to win. There's no way. If they
no,
do,
they took
I'm going
out
to be like,
Jonathan
what?
Gresham. They should not win.
No. Eric Young and Steve. See, this is the thing about Eric Young and Steve Macklin. They are building these two men as your like ultimate face team. And they are becoming, which is so funny because of Macklin's switch, because I remember when Macklin was just a douchebag. And now it's like, I freaking love the guy, it's like, man, because he's inspirational and he's just incredible. I love his story. I love everything about him. And same way with and Eric is that super positive dude, it's like,
listen, that promo he cut before, when Scott got fired back in February last year, before the No Surrender pay-per-view went on, I'm just like, that is my dude. I'm gonna rock with Eric Young.
Yeah. So I think they're just throwing the System at him, and they're gonna just shut the System down, turn it off. Just
right. So the System's going to have an interesting night because we're going to see who walks out as winners and losers. But me and Will have both picked Eric Young and Steve Macklin.
Can
now we get
one thing before you move on. If you notice in the picture that it's Eric Young with his mouth wide open and not Macklin,
I feel like Macklin heard us.
He's always like, and of course it's
hold on. Even when during the review too, the screen, the graphic for the match that we were talking about it, his mouth was open. But this,
he's always using his mouth.
Macklin probably heard us talking, and he's like, "Well, not for this."
Okay, I'll shut my mouth a little bit. That's like just huge.
Okay,
huge.
So now we get into our championship matches. So the rest of these are all championship matches. So we're gonna start with our Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. So thankfully, it's on the main card this time because I feel like we've been missing the knockouts on the main card. But we have our champions of Spitfire, Danny Luna and Jody Threat, taking on the challengers, which is Ash and Heather by Elegance. This is also the second one where it is split.
This is going to be a good one. This is another coin flip. I had to coin flip it because I was going to go with Ash because I love me some Ash. I was just like, that's why. And I was like, but I can't. I need to look at it differently. It's like, so I looked at it more like I would love for Ash and Heather to be the tag team. I honestly, I just don't think it's time. One, Heather hasn't been with Ash that long. They haven't been a team that long. There's still some kinks that they're needing to work out. Now, whether that means, they win the titles and then suddenly they're like in sync with each other. Okay, that's cool. But again, in this match for me, whoever wins, I'm going to be super thrilled with because, I love Spitfire. Spitfire is freaking amazing. And I'm absolutely, me, I'm partial to the Elegance team. So whoever wins, I'll be happy either way. I literally just flipped a coin and then, it was heads, Ash, and tails. It was Spitfire and I got tails.
So I ended up, I picked the girls because I'm just imagining, because I think there's a lot of fun to be had with Ash and Heather as champions and then having Spitfire chase them in the shenanigans for it. Right. But again, I think this match is going to be fun.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see it on the main card. So I will be happy either way because I think these 4 women are kind of currently holding the division of TNA that is lacking a little bit because we don't have we only have these 2 right now in our Knockouts tag team division. But crazy enough, I think this is actually going to be a really good match.
I think it is too. I think, with the Rascals, I think eventually they're going to win these titles back. I really do. Because one, when the Rascals had the tag team champion or belts back in the day, before the whole redesign and everything. I mean, they really were. Even though I know they cheated most of the time, which was fine because they were super heels. But I just freaking love the two of these guys. I really do. Even back then when I was like, I hate the Rascals, I actually really love them because they make me hate them. So, and now I don't hate them as much. And I think that's because they don't have those titles. If they had those titles, I think we'd see the old Rascals again. You know, the spray paint spraying, you know, that sort of shenanigan, you know, cheat their way through a match. And, you know, I'm here for it. I want it back. I do. And I know that Trey was going through some injury issues, and so, you know, it was just this, that, and the other thing. But I want them to come back, and I want the Rascals to be the tag team champs. I do. I want them to be, because they just make it fun. And then I want to see them and ABC go at it again.
Yeah, so whenever Chris Bay comes back, I want to see those four go at it.
But and I'll shut up. I love, and I have, that is no disrespect to the Hardys, because I think what the Hardys have done has been amazing. I think they have held on to those titles. They have defended those titles. They have done their damnedest, you know. But I think not at Genesis, obviously, but I think at Rebellion, I'm going to see the belt switch. I really do. I really feel it.
I agree with you, and depending on how many titles switch hands here at Genesis, if we don't get a lot, I think we're getting a lot at Rebellion switching hands.
I bet you anything, Rick, this is going to be one of them. I'll bet you anything.
I'm calling it too. I think if the Hardys end up on the Rebellion card, I think the titles switch hands at Rebellion to whoever they're facing. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
So this match is going to rule.
Yeah.
So next we get in. So we only have 3 matches left. So they are all for the singles championship. So let's first talk about the X Division Championship. We are getting a new design of some sort, and it is our champion Moose defeating Ace Austin. That video package is messing with my predictions mojo, because normally I would pick Moose, but I picked Ace on this one. I feel like after everything that has happened in the last couple of months, I think that Ace Austin should win this one and carry the X Division.
I chose Ace, right?
Yeah, you also picked
Ace. Oh,
Ace.
thank God. Because for a second there, I was like, did I choose Moose? No way did I choose Moose.
I should have said, be like, and this is where we were split again. I'm just kidding.
I know. Sarah, I would have been like, what? No. I want Ace to walk away with this title for Chris. I really do. I want him to win this title for Chris. That whole promo he did was so touching and so beautiful. And, you know, when he was talking about Chris Bay and all that, it moved me. And I was like, you know what? You know what? I think Moose needs to lose this. He does. I think the system needs to shut down.
Yeah.
And Ace needs to take it. I really do. I truly believe it. He needs something. He does. Because without Chris, he's literally just floundering right now, you know? And I hate that because he's so good. But see, he and Chris Bay are good together. That's the thing about them. And I think right now, without Chris, I think he's sort of lost in the wilderness right now for him to focus on. And then when Chris comes back, maybe he can lose it to somebody, and then ABC can go after those tag team titles again.
Right. Same here. I would love that more than anything. But we both pick Ace Austin, and I really hope Ace walks out as X Division champion at the end of this. So in our semi-last match. So this is the second to last one. Our TNA Knockouts World Championship match in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. That's a mouthful to say.
Which is so funny.
But Masha Samovich taking on Rosemary. So essentially, this is going to be a steel cage with weapons. I'm here for this. I love it when.
I cannot wait.
I'm like, I love it when the women get a chance to be violent. And as somebody who has seen Masha Slamovich throw down in GCW too, like, we know how crazy she can get. I'm excited to see her and Rosemary go at it. But Will and Bud and I have both picked Masha to retain. And I'm going to go a step further, because this past NXT, we had a little bit of a stare down. I think because we're going to get NXT presence, I think we get the appearance of Masha's, well, not next feud, but at least like a clash with an NXT star based on what happened on NXT after that little stare down. I think this is where we get the appearance of Cora Jade, and Masha and Cora can start a feud. Because Masha was in the crowd during the NXT show. Me and Macho talked about it.
Yeah.
And Cora Jade, after winning her match, had a little bit of a stare down with Masha. And then in the social media stuff, Shawn Michaels and Masha met. Shawn Michaels was like, "Hey, did you see anything you liked?" You're like, "You know what? I did. And I'm going to give you a call." More Amber Alert. Actually, that's Masha and Cora about to come to my house.
Amber is busy tonight.
Which is great because it's a system that works. It's also unfortunate too.
Yes.
Protect your children. But yeah, we both picked Masha. I think this match is going to be fun. And I take it a step further. I think Cora Jade comes out in some capacity in this match.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
So, man, this match is going to be fun. So then we get into probably what's going to main event the show, which is our TNA World Championship, because I smell shenanigans coming from a mile away. However you want to take it, I think this match is going to be overbooked. I think it's going to get crazy. I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to see Mr. JBL make an appearance in his cowboy hat again in some capacity here. I'm hoping it backfires. But Nick Nemeth will be defending his title against Joe Hendry. Nick Nemeth has signed an extension, but I do not care. I have picked Joe because I feel like it is Joe's time. Yes. After the disappointment that was in Bound for Glory, I feel like this is the do or pot moment, TNA. Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, here's what I want to happen. Okay. And then I want Joe to destroy him.
That'd be amazing.
But I agree with you. I think shenanigans are going to happen here too. I think Nick's brother's going to get involved.
I think
Frankie's going to get involved, and I think you're right. JV Elvin's probably going to come in. I think there's going to be a lot of BS around this match, and I'm really hoping.
I'm like, nobody's in Joe's quarter. Can you imagine after all of this, we get the reunited for one night only of Joya and Yuya Uemura comes out to help Joe? I would lose my mind.
I would lose it too, and I'll be there, and I would lose it.
Like best pay-per-view ever, 10 out of 10.
Yep. I mean, that's what I'm really hoping because I know Frankie's going to. I know he's going to. Whoever wins this match, he's gonna call in his.
He's gonna call his shot.
Yep. And I know he is. I mean, that's because they keep mentioning it, and they've mentioned it in the last few episodes, and it's always either right before they talk about one of these two guys or right after. So I'm just like, he's gonna freaking call it right there. And it's like,
there are so many ways it can go. He can either cash it in and take it from Nick.
Which would be great. Now, I will tell you this. If he was to call it in and have to fight Nick for it before he and Joe, that would be, and he's like, yeah, look at me, I'm the champion. And then Joe just whoops his ass. Love that. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Which we don't have to wait long, 48 hours.
I know.
See what happens with all of that. So that brings us to our predictions for Genesis. I'm super excited. So before we sign off, we talked a little bit about it, but I just want to say, me and Will have a really fun relationship. We are really good friends, and I'm so happy that I got to bring him back into this world of wrestling and getting to learn more about, his history with wrestling and him becoming a staple here and enjoying TNA as much as I do and Andrew does. And I'm really excited. So I have been very blessed and lucky to go to lots of wrestling shows and pay-per-views specifically since we started BC WrestlePod over the last 3 or 4 years. Shoot, I got to go to my first WrestleMania 2 years ago when it was in Los Angeles. So I had a good time because I got to do those 2 nights. And then I got to go to NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view as well, which was so much fun. But there is nothing so special more than your first ever pay-per-view because it changes you. And, especially and Will could probably attest to this, and I don't want to speak for him, but it's so different being a fan of wrestling, getting to see it on TV, like rooting for your favorite folks, like every single week, watching it on television or the computer. And then you get to see them live, and it's just to be able to feel that energy from the crowd and the performers. Like, Will, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts about going to your first pay-per-view? And I don't know, how do you feel? I guess is the perfect place to start.
Well, I mean, I'm super excited, but I'm super excited for a couple of different reasons. One, I get to be there and see these folks who I've been watching and really getting to know and feel like and I'm not like a weirdo, like, oh, I know them. We're like best friends. But it's like, I know these people. I see them and I would go, oh my God, that's so and so. Oh my gosh, there's Masha. Oh my God, there's Joe. Oh my God, oh my goodness. Even though I'd probably be like, Mr. Hendry, be a complete fanboy and just like clam up like an idiot. But the other reasons are, one, it reminds me of when I used to go to live events with my dad. And the third reason is I get to introduce my husband to wrestling for the first time, because he's not a wrestling person. And, like he's never watched wrestling. He's never done. And I was telling him about this event. I was like, oh my God, TNA is going to be in Dallas, and oh my God, I'd love to go. And he was like, well, you know what? Let's buy tickets and let's go. What? So he bought it. He bought his tickets, and I'm so excited because we're down on the ring level. We're like, I want to say we're like 3 rows back from, like, the ramp will be to our right. We're 3 rows back, and I want to say like 4 or 5 seats in, somewhere in that area. So we're going to be pretty close. I mean, we're going to be like right there. It's going to be super exciting. And you guys look for me. I'll have my I Believe in Joe Hendry shirt on. I'll be wearing my Papa Oso bear hat. So I'll be there. You'll see me. Just be looking for me. So, and probably my husband like hiding under the chair next to me. But no, we're going to have fun. I'm super excited. And now that I know Joe's going to be at that meet and greet afterwards, I'm gonna drag Michael to the meet and greet afterwards so I can hopefully get a photo op with Joe. And like Trey, the Rascals are going to be there as well. Tessa Blanchard's going to be there, and I think the Hardys. And I can only pick one, and it's going to be Joe. So so no matter how long I have to wait, I'm going to do it. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's super exciting. I can't wait. I'm a little nervous, actually, believe it or not, which is so weird because I haven't been to a live wrestling event since early 90s, maybe late 80s. He'll go and he'll tolerate me being crazy fanboy next to him. He thinks I'm going to throw my underwear up on stage, which that's not going to happen. But I did tell him today that I was going to be wearing my little bear beanie, and he just rolled his eyes at me. So
I love when that happens.
He's afraid that some sweaty wrestler is going to be flung over into the audience on top of him. But even though I told him that I would jump in front of him and take that for him. So
willingly and lovingly. Joe Hendry gets listen at the
totally, and it has nothing to do with protecting my husband. It is totally me me being my face in sweaty wrestler. That's truly it.
We love to see it. No,
my husband is literally off to my right, rolling his eyes at me.
Oh my goodness. I'm super excited that you two get to experience this live. Yeah. Me and Andrew are super excited for you, Will, and I cannot wait. I can't wait to hear the reports, and I look forward to it. So that does bring us to the end of this episode. So in terms of Genesis, will be there live on Sunday, while the rest of us will be watching it at home. And then me and Will will be back next Friday to review Genesis which is going to be a good time for all. But that's going to be it for us here at Takedown Troop. From myself, Will, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you later. But until then, adios.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.